first of all, thank you so much. I'm honored that you've asked me to join you here live, even
Oh,
though I'm not a very good liver technically, but here we are. And I have to say, like, my family and I are so grateful to you and your
oh,
team. You
you're
guys
so
have,
nice.
we are so honored to be, members of your services because they have saved our lives, they have saved our relationships.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You're
You have
so
been a
sweet.
lifesaver and you affected the whole family, from helping my daughter with her prom to my birthday bash to my husband trying to be romantic and calling you for the best restaurants in
Oh,
town reservation.
wow.
And just
I'm
the
so
list goes on
happy.
and on, home
Yeah.
renovations. I mean, you even supply us with great wine because you got those connections. I mean, the
Yes.
list goes on and on.
And
And you
and
guys
we're
are,
gonna add
oh my
more, and we're gonna have
God.
much more.
Well, Montreal is so lucky to have you guys. Let me
Oh,
tell you.
wonderful.
So
Thank
glad.
you. Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much.
so
All right. Kisses to everyone. All right, here I go. Are
cute.
you ready, Laura?
I'm ready. Okay.
Perfect. I'm
Cheers.
going to
Cheers.
present you first. Cheers.
Okay, sure.
All right. Okay. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to our Friday Power Lunch Live. Today, I will be presenting Mrs. Lora Cerulli Totilo, a mother, a wife, entrepreneur, forever growing. Laura Cerulli, I hope I pronounced this right,
Yes, you did.
was born in Montreal. She completed her DEC at Collège Jean-de Brébeuf and then majored in finance and international business. Receiving her Bachelor of Commerce in 1996,
You're
she
aging
entered the
me.
world.
You're
Sorry?
aging me. But go on.
Oh, she entered the world of finance as an assistant to financial brokers and shortly after was offered a position in client services for a major Quebec-based mutual fund
Yeah.
company. Within 18 months, she was promoted to regional sales for Southwestern Ontario. From her new office in Toronto, she offered business development solutions to over 1,000 financial advisors in her territory. In year 2000, Mackenzie Financial Corporation offered her the position of regional sales manager back in Montreal. In 2003, she was promoted once again, this time representing then Growth Ventures Capital Mutual,
Yeah.
from covering the territory in Ontario to Sainte-Foy,
Mhm.
Quebec. 1 year later, Vancouver-based venture capitalist Growth Works recruited her as the regional wholesaler for Eastern Ontario and Quebec.
Mhm.
In 2006, she was headhunted by a national recruitment agency to start up their accounting and finance permanent placement recruitment division. Excelling in the new found role and relishing in the work, Laura branched out on her own and started Personnel Chez-Vous Recruitment Services in 2007.
Right.
Since then, she and her team have had the pleasure in serving over 350 Canadian employers.
Yes. Maybe even more by now, but yes.
Yeah,
And all over the
exactly.
States as well, which is exciting. Yes.
No, that was one of my
Yeah.
questions. Laura,
Thank you
welcome. Welcome to our
so
live.
much. Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. Honored to be here. So cool.
Oh, no, this is amazing. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and tell us about why you shifted and decided to open your own recruitment agency? Tell us
Right.
the why.
The why, yes. Well, the why is because, well, first of all, unfortunately, I was booted out of corporate Canada after a while. I was one of those situations. I hate to use the word victim, but it was like
Mm,
a lot of people can relate to this story where, I had a baby, my first baby, and, corporate Canada decided to say, oh, we're restructuring, so can't have you back after mat leave. And there was nothing I could do. When a company uses the word restructure and they can sort of prove it, it's hard to fight that. So in short, I was absolutely devastated because I just worked my way up to this role and I gave my heart and soul to it. And I would look at my husband, like a zombie around the house saying, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? And it's my husband's fault that I got into this industry because he told me, he's a software engineer, and he says, Laura, a lot of recruiters and headhunters give me a call. And I personally waste a lot of time because they think I'm a coder, but I'm an architect, and they're introducing me to companies that don't make sense. So he'd say, my goodness, I'm going to an interview and I'm wasting my time and the employer's wasting his time. He says, what a pity. And I would ponder and say, well, that's such an easy job. Like, how hard could that be? I'm not an IT girl. I don't really know what you're doing in terms of, architecting and programming, but you just ask that extra question and you just try to match up. If it makes sense, you tell the client, okay, well, I'm sending you somebody that I think can do the job, And he says, well, Laura, that's why you got to be a recruiter. You would be excellent at being a recruiter. And I thought he was crazy. Well, I thought he was nuts, but he actually sent my resume to that national agency, and I got this phone call for an interview, and I didn't know. I was caught off guard,
He didn't tell you?
No, he didn't tell me. And so that's how ferocious his belief was, I guess. And so I said, oh my God, Mike, what did you do? He goes, Laura, go to that damn interview because we've got bills to pay. So just get going. And I know you can do this. So I went to the interview. And you know what? It was my calling. As soon as I got in there, I hired on the spot because, I had the background of finance. So I helped them open up their financial division and accounting recruitment. And, as I started to place people within the first couple of weeks, I thought, oh my God, it's like the heavens opened up. It's like, this is great. It's so much fun.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be, So that's how it started.
Okay.
And shortly after, it didn't take long, within 6 months, like Frank Sinatra saying, I want to do it my way. There's things within the agency that didn't align with my values and the way that I would do things and want to conduct in this business. Okay. So I started my own, and that's how Personnel Chez-Vous was created.
That's right. Well, it's very personalized as well.
It's very personalized. And that's why sometimes at the time, I don't know if it's the same thing, but at that time, that agency was set up where they had like a sales rep going on the road and, really promoting the brand of the agency, getting the mandate, but then would come back home to the office and go to recruiters like me and say, hi, we got a new mandate, fulfill it. We need this. And I would just sit there saying, yeah, but what's the client like? I want to see the office. Are they funny? Are they serious? There's so many details into recruitment and headhunting. I just feel that you just can't give the file to just somebody else and say, hi, I'm with Andrea and she needs an assistant. Here, go. But who is Andrea? What type of an assistant?
Exactly. So you dig in much further.
Oh my goodness, much further. There's so many details. I mean, I have clients sometimes. That's why when I have a phone call by an employer and they say, Laura, we need an assistant, we need a controller, an engineer, or whatever they need, I make it a point to physically go to the office if I can, or at least have a virtual call with a few members of the team. And you find out a lot of things. Like, for example, one law firm I serviced, they told me, they say, Laura, here in July, even though it's plus 40, the ladies need to wear nylons. That's it. That's all. There's a severe, strict dress code in this law firm. So that's fantastic. So when I recruit, there's no wasting time. So when I recruit and I find the talent, I can also go that extra mile and say, hey, Sandra, how do you feel about nylons in July? I know it's not comfortable, but that's a dress code.
Exactly.
And if she has a problem with it, that's fine. You're not aligned. That's okay. So I have to move it along to the next candidate. But at least, the employer is not wasting time and the candidate is not taken by surprise on things that they don't want to work within that environment. So
Absolutely. So you must have created your own checklist after all this
yeah, you
time.
know what, Andrea, the checklist really comes naturally for me. It's just
Okay.
very natural. I mean, it's natural to go. Sometimes, employers don't even realize. I always ask them, what's the dress code like? Oh, yeah, Laura, thanks for asking. Yeah, absolutely. I need to know. And some will
Right.
tell me, Laura, they could come in jogging pants here. We're a warehouse. It's all cool. Great. I need to know these things.
Yes.
Um, I
Absolutely.
ask
You need to know
them,
all that.
yeah, do you have parties? What are the perks? Is the coffee free? Is the employer buying donuts or breakfast every Friday? Um, I've got one client where they do a 5 cassette in the office every 2 Thursdays,
Oh,
So it's so important to find these little details, because that's how you capture the essence of that office, the essence of that employer. So
of
it's not
course,
only
of course.
matching what a person can do, but also capturing the essence of the candidate and if their values are in
That's
line.
right.
Because
That's
at the
right.
end of the day, it's like a family. If you're all aligned, you work well together and you progress, right? So
Absolutely.
that's what
Absolutely.
it's all
And
about.
I love the idea that you actually go visit the office in
Yes.
order for you to have more tips, tricks, more
Yes.
clues on what would they like.
Oh,
Now,
yes.
the next question would be, has your business changed after COVID? Has anything shifted, or
Um,
is it harder? I know a lot of people complain there's no employees out there,
yeah.
nobody's working. I don't know if that affected you.
Well, it affected me in a sense that I can speak for myself. I don't know the others, but I just find myself working much harder and longer
Okay.
hours. So I'm somebody that's very persistent. Like, I can't take no for an answer.
Mhm.
Like, I sidetrack. I mean,
I like that.
example, Collège Jean-de Brébeuf, I'm an Anglo-Quebecer, and I really felt that it was incredibly important that I become bilingual once and for all.
Hmm.
Collège Jean-de Brébeuf had sent me, a letter saying, sorry, kiddo, you ain't coming into this college because your French entrance exam just was bad, like beyond bad. And I actually I was 17 and I was 16, and I called the director and I said, I'd like to talk to you about this. And she admitted, look, you're a great student. Your marks in high school are great, but your French is awful and we can't accept you. And I'm very persistent. And I told the director, look, you got to give me a chance. And I gave her all the reasons why. I think it was
Oh
my
my
first sales
God, I
pitch.
love it.
I gave her all the reasons why you need to consider my candidacy here for this college. I'm a
Right.
gal who's a Quebecer. I'm staying here. I live here. I love it here. I'm a true blue Quebecer. Um, I'm sorry, I'm a victim of the language laws, but I need to learn French comme il faut, and this is my last shot. And
Absolument. Good
she
for you.
accepted me. So my point is that I think my nature is I'm very persistent. So yes, the
Okay.
environment right now, it's much harder to find candidates, to find qualified candidates. There's so much mishmash in the market,
Hmm.
but I'm persistent daily. I just keep on it daily. And all that means, Andrea, is that maybe I'm more exhausted by Friday, but it's just more persistence, a little bit more work. But
Yes,
you
yes.
find them. You
But you
find them.
find them. I'm sure they
Yeah,
come your way.
you do.
That's great. And for us, let's say, who owns companies and we're entrepreneurs, if we were looking for a recruiter, what should we look
Me?
for?
No, I'm just
Of course.
just for me.
Of course, you.
No, no,
Well,
in all
I
seriousness,
wanted to know what's the difference between one recruiter and the
yeah,
other.
in all,
Do you work by departments? Do you work by category? Do you work by
right.
the profession? How
Yeah.
does it work?
Look, some do like to have a niche where they'll niche on just finding, let's say, accountants, or some will have a niche on just paralegals. For my, for whatever reason, over the last 16 years, I don't know why I was unable to niche. I think it's because I have a lot of return clients, and they'll say, Laura, that was fun. We found a controller. Now I need an executive assistant. Now I need, a VP of finance, because my discipline in recruiting is the same across the divisions, across the board. For me, it's simple. In my little world here in this headspace, I get the mandate. I understand what this person needs to accomplish. Let it
Okay.
be from a warehouse manager to an executive. I
Hmm.
understand what needs to be accomplished. I get the essence of the company and I go find that talent. Now, what makes a good recruiter? That's also very personal. Like I tell my clients or the prospects, you gotta like me. If you don't like me, it's not going to work out because personally, I can speak for myself. I become an extension of that corporation. So
True.
usually employers that don't have the luxury or the need to have a full-time HR department will call upon my services. And I become an extension of them. I become part of the team. So one thing to look out for is make sure it's like, it's like anything, like even at home, right? When you interview 4 plumbers, you
Right.
have a big plumbing job, you're going to interview 3 or 4. It's your
Exactly.
feeling. Who do you like to have over at your place during that project? It's
Okay.
the same thing.
It's the same
So look for
thing.
a headhunter that, first of all, understands you, that you can get along, that is easy to talk to, a headhunter that's a good listener. I never, force an employer or convince an employer to take upon this candidate. I like to just present, these are the qualifications. Then the rest is a little bit out of my control. It's also the chemistry when they have the interview,
True.
right? So I
True.
can't force that. If my client said, Laura, I didn't feel it, I really don't like her, what can I do? I have to move it along. So you need a collaborator. I think you have to look for a recruiter that can collaborate with you, is a good listener, that you can trust and rely on, that you don't feel pressured, and is honest. Like I'm very honest. If I can't find, sometimes people tell me, "Can you help me find people in the health industry?" I don't
Right.
touch the health industry.
Okay.
Really,
There
that's
you
yeah.
go.
So you have to be honest
Of
too.
course,
Yeah.
you need to be transparent. You don't want to waste their time,
No.
and no, you don't want to waste yours either.
No.
You're busy enough, and you want mandates to close, and you want to deliver.
Yes.
Of course.
Course you want to deliver. It's wonderful. What a wonderful feeling when it's delivered. It gives me such
It is.
joy sometimes when I go to a Christmas party or I walk into my client's office and I see 5 of my candidates there and they're still there.
It's such a
I
nice
think, oh, that's
feeling.
so great. I was able to help in some small way into the employer's prosperity and the people's livelihood too. These are people.
Of course,
So
of
you have
course.
to be
You're helping, you're
honored.
actually helping on both ends.
You
You're
have, yeah, you
helping
have
the
to be
employer and
transparent.
you're helping the candidates.
Yes, you must be transparent with the candidates. If you already know they won't be a good fit or they won't jive well in terms of their culture, in-house culture or mission,
Hmm.
I tell the candidates right away, you won't be happy here. It's not going to be for you. Nothing personal. It's just the way it is.
Okay.
And it's usually much appreciated. So
Yes, I'm sure. Transparency always is instead of, running around and
absolutely.
coming up with other excuses. We'll talk about candidates. How does that work? Do you have candidates that just email you and reach you on social media and,
Mhm.
hi, I'm looking for a
Yes,
job?
I do. Candidates have to be, I always tell candidates, first of all, to never just hang out with me, for example, or rely on me. This is your livelihood. So I want you to reach out to every recruiter in town. Go look at the job boards, go apply. Recruiters are a great extra tool because one thing that sometimes is not really evident is that recruiters are usually, we are compensated by the employer. The employer is overwhelmed. They need new talent to help them prosper. And they'll say, recruiter, I need a new CEO or I need a new VP, whatever the case may be.
Okay.
So if I'm given the mandate for a new VP of finance, my focus will be for that VP of finance. In the meantime, sure, people are emailing me saying, oh, I'm an engineer. Do you have anything? It's great to meet you. It's great to know of you. It's great to have the connection. I might not have an engineering position that week. It might be the next week.
Right.
So yes, candidates will email me, but I also want candidates to be aware that it's good that you email recruiters like me your resume, say hi once
Oh,
in a
it is.
while, but I don't want you to
You do
count on
encourage
them
that.
100%. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
use them as a tool because at the end of the day, if we have,
Hmm.
mandates looking for certain positions, that's what we are focused on. I wish I could help everybody in Montreal or, in Canada looking for a new opportunity,
Right.
but that's the reality of it. So I always tell candidates, send your email to every recruiter in town, it's your livelihood, and
Interesting.
go for it. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting because some people as candidates they're looking for jobs and they're intimidated to reach out to a recruiter because they think,
Oh
you know,
no,
I mean, obviously there's maybe a member's fee or there's a
never.
formula.
There shouldn't be. Look, I never charged a candidate money to find
Okay,
a job. I have to check the laws. I don't know if that's even illegal. I'm not sure, but it's not
okay,
right.
okay,
Okay, it's not right in my books. This is your livelihood, and you shouldn't pay somebody to help you find a job. No, the
okay.
employer needs talent, and they should pay for the services to help for us to help them find that talent.
I see. Okay.
Um,
Well,
yes.
but that's
So
great advice that you're giving
yes,
for
no,
candidates out
candidate, this
there.
is your livelihood. You should not pay somebody to help you find a job. No way, Jose.
Yeah.
You have all these wonderful recruiters that can
Hmm.
help you out. You have all these wonderful platforms that you could research.
True.
No, no, no. Yeah.
True, you're right. And do you give a consultation? Let's say I'm a
Yeah.
candidate and I want to apply for a job. Would you give a consultation or no? You're really focused on employer.
No, no. Look, if I have sometimes I got friends or colleagues that say, "Oh, geez, this person I know is really having a hard time. They're not getting
Okay.
a phone call." That breaks my heart. And I say, "Listen, just send me the resume. Let me look at the resume." So I
Okay.
could then spend a few minutes with that candidate and say, "Okay, I know why you're not getting a phone call. You're not addressing the right audience." And I help them, tweak their
Yes.
CV a little bit.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
That
So
that was my next
yeah.
question. Do you look at resumes and do you have that service about the resumes to upgrade
No,
it or to take a look at it
right.
or to give your opinion?
Look, I used to once upon a time even write resumes. About 10 years ago, I used to write resumes for candidates. I used
Oh,
to even offer the service to, do a whole blown consultation. The problem
okay.
is that I lack the time because the mandates take up a lot of time.
That's true.
So I don't really offer that service anymore because it's just really, really time consuming and I don't have that time. But again, I'm happy to at least take a good look at a resume and say, okay, uh, I'll even arm them with, I've got some documents that I could share with them, like great verbs, great adjectives, great short phrases, just to inspire them to spruce up their resume a little bit more.
Oh, nice.
Not
That's good to
lying,
know.
just to, and
Yes.
not embellishing, but not at all, not lying and embellishing. But
No.
sometimes people don't toot their own horn, you know?
Yes.
Like, for example, somebody will say, "Oh, I'm just a receptionist." No, you're not. You're not just a receptionist. Tell me, how many calls can you take per day? Well, I could take easily 100 calls per day. Well,
Oh,
that's amazing.
that's
Write it
not
on your
just a
resume.
receptionist.
Exactly. Write it on your resume. Write that, I can take 100 calls per day.
Okay.
Quantify your abilities, and that really attracts,
That's
that
right.
really wakes up your
Highlight them,
audience. Yeah.
value them.
Uh,
Absolutely.
exactly. It's
Oh,
not a lie.
good.
That's what I mean, is that's how I help
Okay.
them. I look at the resume and I'll say, okay, right here, plug in that and plug in this.
Okay.
So,
That's amazing. You're great,
oh,
Laura. I know. Well, I've referred you to a few clients and they're extremely
thank you so
happy.
much. Yeah,
Because
thank you. It's my
before
pleasure. Thank
before we
you.
wrap up, I wanted to ask you also one more question. What is your demographic? Is it just Montreal?
No, especially since now with the day and age of technology that we're living right
That's
now,
right.
no, I am servicing employers that typically don't have the HR department in-house. So typically they have maybe less than 50 employees
Okay.
across Canada, and we have a footprint in California right now,
Oh,
which is so exciting. Yeah, so we're
congratulations.
servicing a
Nice.
multinational company, helping them find graphic engineers and software engineers and just high-end UI and like all these crazy really, really complex needle pointed type of programming technology. So it's a very
Okay.
thorough research that we do. I
Mm,
say we because I do have a team that helps me
of
behind the scenes, but I'm
course.
always
Of course.
I'm always the one that meets with the candidate because I capture the essence
That's
and I
right.
meet with the client, to match that up. So yeah, so no, we are across Canada and hopefully growing in California and who knows?
Hopefully. Come on, USA.
Yeah, come on, USA.
Come on, USA. That's
Thank you,
great.
Kai.
Okay, now I'm going to go to a personal note
Oh,
because I'm sure a lot of people are intrigued. What are your hobbies and your passion? Well,
all
other
right.
than I know you love your work, but other than that.
My
Tell us
hobbies,
a little bit about Lora.
oh my God. My hobbies, well, first of all, I love being in the kitchen all weekend long. I just get lost. I just get my Italian music on straight from Italy live and, catch up on the latest artists in Italy and, just cook away, try new recipes, bake bread, just get lost, get organized for the week and eating well. So that's my biggest hobby is really the kitchen.
Okay.
And then physically, I love doing Kangoo. These are boots that are on springs
Yes.
and, just jumping and just doing it with like very in an aerobic fashion. It's an
Okay.
incredible fat burner. It's so much fun. So yeah, that's my kooky
You
little
enjoy
hobby.
it. You enjoy it. That's great. Nice. Well, thank you so much. Laura, if anybody needs to reach you, if they go
Yes,
through your website, they email you,
yeah,
social
they
media.
absolutely they can do all that. Or I do have a toll-free number that's easy to remember. It's one
Okay.
eight four four hire well, So
I love it.
HIREWEL, but it's easy to
Okay.
remember. So 1-844 hire well, they'll get a hold of me.
Amazing. That's amazing. And also, you're on my
Yeah,
social media. So if anybody wants to reach out, they can
yeah,
also
yeah.
email me or the team or our website.
Yeah,
So
Andrea, thank you
have,
so much. You're such
oh,
a
you're
gem. Thank
welcome. You're
you.
welcome. Have
Thank
yourself
you.
a wonderful
You
weekend.
too.
And
You too.
we'll talk soon. Bye,
You
everyone.
bet. Ciao.
Okay.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.